1 o'clock that day, we're with a company called IC360, and they are the best bet monitoring company in the business. And they reached out to us and they told us that there was some unusual action going on with that fight. Do we know anything? You know, we didn't. So what we did was we called the fighter and his lawyer and said, what's going on? There's some weird action going on in your bet, weird betting action going on in your fight. Are you injured? Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody approached you to, and the kid said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to kill this guy. And, so we said, okay. The fight plays out and first round finish by rear naked choke. Literally the first thing we did was call the FBI. So we called the FBI.
That's an amazing look for the UFC. They're proactively called the UFC. They contacted Dulgarian and his lawyer. If he had Dulgarian's lawyer, which is weird. Dulgarian he was complaining about not having money or needing to fight to get money because has a family to take care of, but he's injured. Right? So he's talked about this in interviews and yeah. He somehow has my point is how do you have a lawyer? How do you have a lawyer on retainer, but you can't afford things and you're throwing fights for X amount of dollars? Who knows? Who knows how much he potentially made for throwing that fight? Who knows? Oh, I hope it was worth it. But shout out to UFC, man. Shout out to UFC.
I've met with the FBI twice today. So that's the whole thing. Now you see people
like they contacted the FBI immediately. It's a great look for the UFC to be proactive in it, to get at Dulgarian and get ahead of this situation. Like they started the investigation. It's pretty dope on them to do so.
Out there talking, there's hundreds of fights under it's total bullshit.
Yeah, that right there. So over the past couple days, there's this dude Harry Mack who's been tweeting. I was actually going to react to a Harry Mack interview after this, but just based off of Dana saying this, I'm like, maybe I don't need to. Because if the FBI didn't just decide to step in, Harry Mack claimed that the FBI flagged over 100 fights just this year alone. And if Dana, and that's why they stepped in here, right? He said the FBI contacted the UFC and informed him of the irregularities going on with the betting, with the bets on Dulgarian to lose in the first round. But no, Dana White's like, I contacted the FBI. You know what I'm saying? Like, so whatever, he's shutting down the claims of Harry Mack that over 100 fights were flagged by the FBI and that they were audited. The FBI is about to audit Jason Herzog's fights. He's shutting down all that right now, ladies and gents.
Total usual clickbait bullshit.
Clickbait
IC360,
bullshit.
our company, they monitor all of the betting. Like I said, they're the best in the business. There aren't hundreds of fights being investigated. All clickbait BS. So this company, IC360, which is the best bet monitoring company in the business, we've been with them for years. And we get a report after every single fight that we do. So for anybody out there that's clickbait saying, oh, there's hundreds of fights, it's all bullshit. We've been with these guys for years. We take this very serious, and we're watching every single fight that happens in the UFC, from the first prelim to the main event. So when this did happen, a couple of years ago, whenever it was, that investigation is still ongoing, and now will be a part of this investigation too.
You mentioned talking to the FBI. Are you directly talking to Kash Patel? I'm sure you do have a relationship.
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, but then we just had an office full of FBI agents in here. So, you know, we if you try to do this, I've been very vocal and very open about this. We will be your worst enemy. We will immediately go after you, guns ablazing, with the FBI and whoever else we need to get, and we will.
They should.
We will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison.
Ladies and gents, I was in crisis, and I'm kind of still like, I'm glad Dana White is speaking out on this. I was like, man, is he gonna duck this for as long as he can? But no, he addressed it right away. I'm sitting here like, because with the whole at least 100 fights just this year were flagged, it's like, what am I actually watching as far as what I considered were real fights in the UFC? You know, Luke Thomas was going off, and we were like, right, like what he was saying is what I was like thinking is like, now it has to you have to question the legitimacy of, if there's 100 fights that were flagged this year, like what I'm seeing is actually real. How often have they gotten away with this cheating, with fake fights? How often has that gone over our heads, you know? But hopefully Dana White is saying the truth here, that they're on top of that every single fight. And we're watching legit real fights of the highest level. Hopefully. But I feel like if he paid the fighters more, gave them health insurance, treated them like actual employees, that would kind of hopefully curb some of this. But, you know.
It's like, you know, you're seeing things out on the internet where like fighters are coming out and going, "Oh, I was approached.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Why didn't you tell us that?
Yo, yeah, a lot of fighters came out saying that they were approached to throw fights, but they turned it down. Vince Morales tweeted that he was offered. He said he was offered, and somebody asked him how much, and he said pennies. Like, when you think about how much of a big deal it is, and then he said $70K. Then he tweeted. Then he deleted that tweet and said he was joking. All right. There's a few fighters. I think Lando Venata, Vanessa Demopoulos. All these people were claiming that they were approached to throw fights for money, but they're claiming that they turned it down. Lando Venata said he was approached 7 times to throw fights, and his record reflects that, because he has like 7 losses. I think that was the only one because they all tried to claim that they were joking. All right. They tried to claim they were joking shortly afterwards, but I feel like Lando was the only one being humorous in the whole thing. All right. I think the rest of them, especially Vince Morales, who said pennies, when you think about how much of a big deal it is, $70K, that's one tweet. It's not like he said the first part in a tweet, then tweeted out the $70K. That's one tweet. All right. That's real. That's real.
Or more importantly, why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were approached? Now you're saying that you were approached? It's like if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want you to rob a bank. I'm going to rob banks. Want to rob a bank with me?" And you don't do it. What, you're not gonna tell law enforcement? It's really weird that fighters are coming out now saying they were approached, and they're going to be approached now by the FBI.
We see this going on in other sports, what the NBA is dealing with right now. As the person who runs the most prominent promotion in this sport, you just hate to see something like this, right? Whether the UFC or any other sport.
I hate to see anybody in our sport do anything illegal, but fight fixing is absolutely insane. To get to this level and go out and be a part of fight. And I'm not saying this kid's guilty. You know what I mean?
What about Mike Tyson?
There's no proof that he's done this yet, but I can tell you this, it doesn't look good. It definitely doesn't look good. You know, we approached him before.
Everybody should go back and watch young Mike Tyson's fights. Watch that man fight. All right. I know we say he's the baddest man on the planet because you believe the hype. Go back and watch Mike Tyson's old boxing matches. Go back and watch that. Go read the articles. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Watch those fights and then search up what were the people saying about those fights after they happened. It's his history is pretty interesting because people don't really talk about that part of it. But yeah, y'all should look into Mike Tyson.
Fight, he and his lawyer, and they denied that anything, you know, from everything. Are you hurt? You know, are you injured in any way? Do you owe people money? Have you been asked to do anything, you know, illegal? We asked them all the questions, and everything was absolutely not, hell no. So the fight went on. And then, like I said, fight ended by finish in the first round, literally walked out from the octagon into my room in the back and called the FBI.
Damn. Well, shout out to Dana White if all that is true. I was saying to my wife, like, people are going to be watching these fights on Saturday with a fucking fine-tooth comb. All right? That guy, Harry, whatever, was claiming that over 100 fights this year, over 100 fights this year were flagged for irregular betting and a weird action going on in the fights. But Dana saying that's not the case. There was this incident and they were on top of it. I was seeing people posting like videos of Herzog fights. Like clearly this is a fight that he was rigging. Clearly, like it was like, yeah, I don't know. It definitely was putting a stain on the sport. You know, bringing into question the legitimacy of the sport. It was like, have I been watching pro wrestling this entire time without even knowing? Predetermined endings, ladies and gentlemen. Predetermined endings. But Dana White says no. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Dana White is being truthful? He seemed pretty passionate in his response here about it all. It seems I'm going to say I believe Dana, but I will say I want to believe Dana. I will put that there. All right. I want to believe in Jesus. Now, I want to believe that these fights are real. You know, I want to believe that they are real. So I want to believe Dana, but let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Thank you guys for being here once again. I'll see you guys soon.